I'm Luke Summerhays, and I love Spearow. I spoke in a previous episode about Pidgey's problem of being, essentially, just a normal bird. At first glance, Spearow suffers from the same problem, without even the distinction of being the original. Luckily, what Spearow lacks in trend setting, it makes up for in personality, and having a cool evolution. It flaps its small wings busily to fly. Using its beak, it searches in grasses for prey. Spearow has a very loud cry that can be heard over half a mile away. If its high, keening cry is heard echoing all around, it is a sign that they are warning each other of danger. These are examples of Spearow's Pokédex entries, and, like a lot of early game Pokemon, they could just as easily be things David Attenborough said about real birds. They're cool enough as animal factoids go, but they're not especially magical and fantastical for a pocket monster. Spearow is a bird, all said and done. It has a fluffy head and a grumpy face. I like the design. But what makes him iconic is that Spearow is mean. Spearow's name comes from spear and sparrow, or the Japanese name, Onisuzumi, comes from Oni, which more or less translates to demon, and Suzumi, or sparrow. Spearow's mean, or if you like, demonic, attitude was on proud display in the very first episode of the anime. After having some hijinks trying to catch a Pidgey, Ash throws a rock at a Spearow, and incurs the wrath of not just one, but a whole flock of the birds. They hound the child and his electric mouse, and, after Ash shields Pikachu with his own body, the little yellow fella finally comes to trust him. That shot of Pikachu running towards Ash in the rain and thunder and lightning, jumping onto his shoulder and launching towards the sky full of Spearow, is absolutely burned into my memory, and no doubt the memories of an entire generation of kids. It's emotional, visually striking, and an example of how what might have been a cheap cartoon to turn a quick buck from a popular video game was given much more care and love than it might otherwise have needed. Spearow, despite being a somewhat minor Pokemon, played a part in one of the moments that made the series what it is, and defined Ash and Pikachu. We'll talk more about that electric mouse in a couple of weeks though. Spearow evolves, of course, into Fearow. Fearow is a bigger bird, though unlike Pidgeotto and Pidgeot, it actually looks quite different from its pre-evolution. It has a long neck and sharp beak and is legitimately pretty cool. The name Fearow is interesting, in that it only works when you already know the previous evolution's name. Fearow isn't a particularly good pun on Sparrow, but it is a cool development from Spearow. The Japanese name is Onidrill, keeping the demonic part and adding the menacing drill. It also sort of works as a pun on demon bird, because Japanese is weird. Fearow is also in the anime. In one episode, the Spearow from that very first encounter returns in evolved form and battles Ash's Pidgeotto. It's a cool moment for a cool Pokemon, but it doesn't have that iconic role that Spearow did. Fearow is a nice Pokemon design, and a decent pick for flying type in the original games. Beyond that, it has a special place in my heart, as it was one of my first shinies. I've never been one to shiny hunt, and of course I've caught red Gyarados in my day, but I've only ever encountered a couple of shiny Pokemon through normal play of the main series games. One of those was a golden-coloured Fearow. Some friends of the show have been in touch to share their love of Spearow and Fearow as well. James J. Moyles says, "Considering I quite like Pidgey, I found Spearow and Fearow to be too mean and intimidating by comparison. I think the very first episode of the anime, where they nearly kill Ash and Pikachu, didn't help matters either." Jonathan Cromie, composer for this show, says, "Spearow is a brown bird. It's a tad more interesting than Pidgey, but nothing compared to some later gen equivalents, or even the other weird Gen 1 one we'll talk about down the line. Fearow, though, I like a bit more. Its wings feel like a big umbrella, its neck resembles the snake bird, and its beak is sharp enough to drill into things. It's a big old raptor, and only its rather dull coloration prevents me from liking it more." And lastly, Jiminy Jim Langston had this to say, "I always felt a bit sorry for Spearow and Fearow and Robert De Niro, as I'd catch a Pidgey first. I don't really know about stats, so I have to assume that these do more gooder things." Music for Luke Loves Pokemon was created by Jonathan Cromie. Artwork for the show is by Katie Groves. If you're interested and you enjoy this show, please do give us a 5-star rating review on iTunes and share this podcast with your Pokemon-loving friends. If you have anything to say about the rather popular and important Pokemon we'll be covering soon, Pikachu and Family, or if there's any other Pokemon you love, let me know all about it. I'm on Twitter and Facebook at LukeLovesPKMN, and you can email this show at lukelovespkmn@gmail.com. I love Spearow, and remember, I love you too.